Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Crystal Longacco from the Office of Alumni Relations here at Johns Hopkins University, and I just wanted to take a moment to welcome you to today's program. From Hopkins to the Ministry of Crab, a conversation featuring our very own Chef Dharshan Munidasa, Whiting School of Engineering grad, class of 1994. This program has definitely been in the works for quite a few years, I'd say at this point. And thankfully, as we found ourselves in this virtual space, we thought that this would be a great opportunity for us to finally pursue it. So here we are. As you guys will soon see, this is going to be a really fun, lighthearted conversation between two former classmates, and we hope you do enjoy the program. As we get started, if anybody has any questions that come up or any comments that they'd like to make, please feel free to drop it into the chat or into the Q&A feature, and we'll do our best to address them as the conversation goes on. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Natasha Yamaoka, Krieger School of Arts and Sciences, also class of 1994. And we're just going to sit back and let the two of them reminisce and enjoy this conversation.
Well, thank you, Crystal. In addition to kind of like being a graduate of the class of 94, I've also, I'm a member of the Alumni Council, the School of Education National Advisory Council, as well as past member of the Second Decade Society and the reunion committees for the class of 94. So as you can kind of see from the list of activities, I'm a huge Hopkins advocate and love my time there. Dharshan was definitely a huge part of that. So I'm so glad that we were able to get him virtually in this environment to participate. So it's great to see you, Dharshan, from Sri Lanka. And knowing that it's 9.5 hours ahead of us, it's 9:30 p.m. there. So really appreciate you kind of jumping online and chatting with us a little bit. If you can, kind of share with us. I know that we've had, like, I know it says Ministry of Crab on the actual program, but there are so many restaurants that you have that, and the variety of locations. It might be good to kind of provide context in terms of all the different kind of ventures you have.
So graduated in 94, and 1 year later I opened my first restaurant, Japanese restaurant called Nihonbashi. And that was a journey with my mom, and it started slow, but by 2001 we had 2 more Nihonbashis. And in a country that was war-torn in Sri Lanka with ups and downs, but yet we really survived and shined, if you will, in terms of levels of culinary dedication and dishes that we created a lot. It led to my second restaurant, Ministry of Crab. From there, my third restaurant, Kama Sutra, and another one by the coastal region of Sri Lanka called Tuna and the Crab. And today I have one more restaurant, a steak restaurant called Canadian in the Maldives. It's been a busy 25 years. And right now the pandemic, Corona-19, is not helping at all. But we hope right now that with things getting into normalcy in Sri Lanka and the world slowly, that we will get to some kind of normalcy.
Yeah, for sure. So we wanted to kind of like go into this conversation. It's you and me, but we actually want to make sure that the folks that are online are also participating. So Crystal's actually going to be monitoring the Q&A or the chat feed to kind of see if there are any questions that are coming in, and Crystal's going to just jump in wherever we are to kind of like feed in questions along the way. So we highly encourage you all to kind of like jump in and ask questions that you might have of Dharshan. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep the conversation going because we have a few things that we also wanted to share with you in terms of a video as well. I know that we wanted to talk about a little bit about the recipe that you're going to share, but before we go into that, if you can kind of like tell us what kind of sparked your passion for cooking and kind of getting into the restaurant business.
Hunger. Greed for good food. I think you guys know that from eating whatever I cooked in while I was in Hopkins, and that's the honest truth. I think as a kid I could never eat anything that tasted bad. As an adult, every time I cooked something, even myself, that tasted bad, I had to erase or delete that memory by smoking or drinking just to get it out of my palate. And that happened yesterday with my staff. I needed to erase something that was horrible. But wanting to eat and enjoy something that's good, I'm not talking that you need to use caviar, foie gras, uh, truffle on anything to make it taste better. But good food comes from really, really honest, good ingredients. And so if you take a Japanese context, sashimi is the simplest version of food, right? Or even a sliced tomato can be the simplest version of food. But it has to be the right tomato, it has to be the right knife that slices properly. It has to be served at the right temperature. And you can create so much textures, flavors, and for me, that's it.
That sounds great. Well, Crystal, I don't know if you're ready, but like maybe we can play the demo for the recipe that Dharshan shared with us.
Sure, gonna pull it up right now.
Great.
I've been asked to do a video for the Hopkins Alumni Homecoming weekend. I tried to go there for the 25th anniversary, but I was really, really busy and I could not make it. So this is for you, Baltimore. Baltimore, Maryland is famous for crab. Unfortunately, while I was there, I never ate any crab out there because it's the blue swimmers. They're smaller than our big, huge mud crabs. So today, I'm going to do a dish with the blue swimmers that you can find in Maryland, and I hope all of you guys would try to do this dish. Big wok, sunflower oil, maybe about a third of a cup, ginger, garlic. It smells really, really nice. I'm going to throw in the dash of sesame oil. And I wish we had kitchens like this when we were in Ivy Hall. We didn't. We could use a big wok like this. We use like really flat frying pan. Okay, and then into this we put chicken stock, and this is the special ingredient. This was something I learned at Hopkins from one of my friend's mom, Karen Yen's mom. Soy sauce in a bottle, ginger, garlic, chopped green chili, and age it in a fridge. So my original stock that I have at home is about 25 years old, and we keep on topping up. Karen, please tell your mom thank you for this. It has been an amazing product to have in the kitchen, and it does wonders. So we are going to do maybe about half a cup of this. Having a lid is really, really important. This is the only way you're going to get the crab to cook in its entirety. Make sure you have a tight fitting one and not one above the wok. And give it 10 minutes of cooking time. Keep on stirring it, keep on tossing it, and you should be there. So that's about 10 minutes of cooking. We are going to move these to a big bowl. we just thicken it up, a little bit of cornstarch, and we'll pour that up. Some steamed rice, one vegetable on the side, that's all you need. Happy homecoming class of 94. Wish I was there. Or maybe next time you guys can visit me in Sri Lanka and have the real big mud crab at Ministry of Crab.
That looks yummy.
It does.
I know that you were talking about blue swimmer crabs, but I don't know if those are like the same blue swimmer crabs we have stateside. They're a little bit bigger, I think. I think that, we missed you during our class of 94 25-year reunion last year. So it was, but we almost had the opportunity to have you cook for us for our reunion. Unfortunately, I think you were in the midst of opening a couple of restaurants. I think it was the one in India and the one in Shanghai. So we missed that. Yeah. So, but thanks for doing the, yeah, for sure. I think that maybe we'll count on you for the 30-year reunion, maybe. It's a haul though. So can you tell us what your fondest memory of Hopkins is?
I think everyone I met out there, from my roommates, Dan Kaplan, Dan Shapiro, I think they were my first guests of my cooking career, if you will. And after that, you, Karen, Yuka, Harry being eating my food, even without me knowing. But yeah, it was interesting to be out there, and the dorm food inspired me to cook. And look where I am. And I still haven't stopped wanting better food or trying to make better food. And engineering at Hopkins has totally propelled me to be able to design restaurants to scale on Excel. So if you count how many restaurants I've done in the last 25 years, it's close to like 20.
Yeah,
And,
that's a lot.
So redoing the same restaurant over, etc., and all that comes into play. But yeah, I've done so much with using Excel as a platform to draw scale drawings. IR degree, reading so much, being able to speak to so many ambassadors, and you come from a Hopkins background and you're in IR, it gives you a big soapbox to stand on, especially with the diplomatic community. And yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, that
Natasha,
sounds great.
Before we get into the next question, somebody did write in and ask, how would you modify that recipe for king crabs and Dungeness crabs, other than scaling up the ingredients?
King crabs are hard. I went to San Francisco to visit my brother once. It was supposed to be Dungeness crab season, but they had some issue and they did not allow Dungeness crabs to be caught. But I cooked Dungeness crabs in Shanghai last November. Crabs are not crabs. It's as different as chicken to beef. They look the same to a layman's eye, but how they swim, their muscle structure, where they gain muscle, are totally different. For instance, king crabs walk. Lagoon mud crabs and blue swimmers swim backwards, and if you look at the backward, the last two legs on their bodies, it has fins. So it's absolutely different. So crabs are not crabs. And there are, best way to enjoy king crab is probably steam it with butter. Dungeness crab does not have the same flavors as blue swimmers, and more importantly, our mud crabs from Australia to South Africa, the mud crabs have a serious depth of flavor that the marine crabs do not have. So it's not easy to say crabs are crabs and you can use the same recipes. They're totally different animals to be content with. I hope that answers the question.
So your advice is that it probably wouldn't adapt well with king crab or Dungeness crab, but because the flavors would.
I've cooked both. It's not the same.
Got it. So you would recommend like the blue crabs for this recipe specifically?
Well, I made a blue crab recipe, but if you make that out of mud crab, it's more potent in flavor.
Got it.
The thickness of the shell is key, which no one pays attention to when you're talking about crab.
I don't know if that answers, was that Anne that had asked the question?
Yeah, that was Anne's.
Anne, did that answer your question, hopefully? Or maybe there's a follow-up question that needs to happen with the crab question. Well, we'll keep moving, and if she has additional questions, please feel free to send them in. These are great questions. What was the most exciting thing you experienced while being part of the restaurant business? Like, what was the most exciting thing?
So this June, it would, in a few weeks, to be 25 years since I opened my first restaurant. I think the most exciting thing would have been being interviewed with Anthony Bourdain. We just remembered him for the second year after he died, but yeah, before that, when we filmed, that was probably the most exciting thing that I've done in the restaurant industry. He was a monolithic stature in the restaurant industry for all of us. Yeah, so we all miss him.
Yeah, for sure. That would have been a really exciting experience. I think I saw the segment. Well, actually, I did see the segment, and it was a lot of fun in terms of his energy and his excitement for his journey out there in Sri Lanka. So that was nice. Crystal, do we have another question? I think I just saw something pop up.
AJ is asking, Dharshan, what do you think about Old Bay seasoning?
Not much.
Have you had it?
Yeah, but it's so... Okay, so I'm half Japanese, I'm half Sri Lankan, right? Old Bay seasoning is not that potent. I guess it depends what you're cooking.
What? It's pretty potent. Like, I think I guess it depends, because you do kind of make a spicy curry. So
it's relative, right? And you what you have to do with it. So for crab, I think crab, you need to amplify the flavor of the crab. And you can do more.
Well, I mean, variety is great, and this is just another, I think, thing that whoever likes cooking can add to their seasoning. I think recipe book.
Seasoning exists in a world where there is no variety.
Well,
right?
I think there's. Well, I mean, if you're only using that recipe, there's an opportunity to try other recipes, right?
So out here,
you just said,
out in Asia, we have so many levels.
Yeah, so many different flavors. Yeah.
So try it out, and then compare. I think I'm the person to answer that question. You yourselves are, but keep on trying with different flavors.
Yeah,
that's great. We do have one more question. So Nelson Lee is asking, are there any ingredients from the US that you miss or wish you could have in Sri Lanka?
Cheap blue cheese.
Blue cheese?
I love buffalo wings. And yeah, I miss blue cheese by the bucket. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good thing to miss. I'd have to say.
Actually, to give on a serious note, maple syrup.
And maple syrup. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
also a good thing to miss. I'm sorry that you don't have those things.
I think after I left the US, my roommate, his mom, Dan's mom, Auntie Beverly, would bring maple syrup. And it's been 25 years, right, since we graduated?
Well, now 26.
26. I never ran out of maple syrup in my fridge, in my household ever, because Dan and his mom made sure that I got some every time I met them somewhere.
That's amazing. Yeah, those are really good ingredients. It's sad that you don't have them in Sri Lanka.
Yeah, maple syrup, you don't have it anywhere else, right?
Yeah, no, that's true. So kind of along those, in terms of like things that you don't have in Sri Lanka, like you have been in a lot of different countries and expanding your restaurant to a lot of different places. What are the things that you keep the same and what are the things that you adapt to based on the countries in which you kind of modify or go into for your restaurant business?
Well, as much as possible, we'll try to keep everything the same. Otherwise, there's no use us being asked to come to that restaurant, that country. And each restaurant has its own challenges in terms of who's working there. But more importantly, we have challenges with ingredients. So there are some restaurants in, say, China imports the crabs from Sri Lanka, sometimes from Indonesia and Philippines. Philippines use the same crabs in the Philippines. But I try to advocate as much as possible to be local. And that strength of using local ingredients is something that chefs have forgotten because of cheaper airfares and cheaper freights that you could just fly things over. But food is not about just bringing things to your doorstep, but respecting what you have at home. So I'm really, really happy to say India, Manila, Bangkok, they're using local ingredients.
That's great. So what do you keep the same?
So Sri Lanka, we do it, yes. We don't use, the only thing that's imported into Sri Lanka is our olive oil and wines. And we are a no freezer restaurant, so that's a challenge for restaurant in this day and age. And we don't buy anything frozen. We don't freeze anything after you buy them.
That's great. Keep it as fresh and local as possible. So that's kind of like a great mantra to have in terms of food products in general. So that's great. It sounds like your supply chain is pretty regular. So I know that Sri Lanka is closed right now, but once travel comes back, what would you recommend people going to visit in terms of the things, the must-do things in Sri Lanka, besides, of course, visiting you at your restaurants?
We have wildlife to culture, Buddhist history going back 2,000 years. Ministry of Crab is in a building that's older than the United States. You know what? If anyone from Hopkins Alumni is going to visit us in the next 4 months, between now and December, let me know. Dinner's on me. One more reason to visit us. But it's an unusual and small island with so many things to do. You can play golf at under 20 Celsius degrees in the hills, surrounded by tea bushes, in a golf course that was built by the Scottish Regiment in 1879. That's about 4 years younger than the oldest golf course in the US. So you can come and enjoy history in so many ways. And I wish you.
Well, I think you actually shared with us a video that kind of goes through the regions of Sri Lanka. I don't know, Crystal, if you're able to share that video right now. Maybe
Yep,
that'll
it
be
is
helpful
queued
also
up.
to kind of like,
This is a
awesome.
video we
Thanks.
made 2 years ago for our cocktail party that we had for being on Asia's 50 Best list. 2 of my restaurants, Ministry of Crab and Nihonbashi. So enjoy.
Sri Lanka, the pearl of the Indian Ocean, Isle of Serendib, also known as Ceylon, is a country rich in culture, tea, cinnamon, gems, cricket, and crustaceans. Here are the 5 regions of this beautiful land. The tuna territories off the south is ruled by the Big Eye tuna family, the yellowfin tuna mob who make the best tuna sashimi. In the south, blue whales come to dine on our amazing seafood, and their cousins, the dolphins, prefer the western seaboard. The region is also home to Dutch Fort, amazing beaches, hotels and villas, and a leopard park called Yala. Tea Country is a small state nestled in the Central Hills. Ruled by the English and then by the planter clan, the green velvety carpets of the tea bushes and the best tea ever made give this region its name. Tea is best brewed by a tea master, but to beat the heat, try the iced tea soda or the popular cocktail, the small island iced tea. Gem and Spice Kingdom is scattered with gem pits where the Star of India was mined, and it mines stones for fine jewellery. The wet zone of this kingdom produces black pepper for the pepper crab and the best cinnamon in the world. The northern part housed many dynasties, and King Kashyapa built the coolest rock castle. The dry zone also makes the hottest chili for the chili crab. Not far away is the world's largest jumbo conference. 300 elephant delegates of all ages gather at the Mineria Park. The Principality of Prawn, with lakes made by Sri Lankan kings, is home to the largest prawns known to chefs. The prawnzillas here grow up to 600 grams and have the deepest of flavours of any crustacean. Admire the stone and rock carvings of Polonnaruwa, one of 8 UNESCO heritage sites of Sri Lanka. Crab Country is a bi-coastal region made up by the northwestern and northeastern coasts of the island. It is ruled by Crabzilla crabs. The bulky colossal crustaceans became stars in Singapore. Today, the crabs are represented in Colombo by its ministry, the Ministry of Crab. Asia's 50 best restaurants lists 2 reasons to visit Sri Lanka. But there are so many more sights and sounds, tastes and flavours of Sri Lanka that await you.
Thank you, Crystal. That's such a cool video.
Yeah, something I wrote for being on Asia's 50 best list, and instead of trying to show our laurels, we want to show what reasons for you to visit Sri Lanka, and I think that message is really, really important right now. And we're opening our borders on the 1st of August. We are welcoming, we are waiting for you to come. And like I said, if you're from Hopkins, let us know. Dinner's on me.
Yeah. And I've been there, so I will have to say it is a really delicious. I was lucky enough to like visit a few of your restaurants while I was there. And the food that Dharshan you create is just fabulous. I'll have to say though, that Sigidia Rock that we went to go to, man, guys, like bring your sneakers, hiking boots, comfy clothes, like be prepared to sweat and like be in shape, because I almost didn't make it to the top. I was like, that's a rough trek. That's a rough trek, but it was totally worth it once you got up to the top. I'm a huge fan, but at the same time, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that again, knowing how big of a trek that was. How often do you get up there? Do you ever go up there?
Well, I think as soon as I came back from college, I had so many friends visiting. It was like once a month kind of thing. But I haven't been in about 10, 15 years.
Yeah, that is a trek. That is a trek. That was that, and you didn't, and there was like no warning. It was one of those things where you're just going, and the person who was helping us like through the area, he like looked at us and he was like, "Oh, I'll wait for you right here." And it was like, we should have known then that we should probably have stopped, but no, we kept going. It's one of those up a sheer cliff up the side, really, with stairs. So it was an amazing experience, though. Looks like there was another question, Crystal.
Right? Yeah.
We do. Sure. It's coming from Nelson again, and it says, Singapore seems to claim the chili and black pepper crab as their own. Did it originate in Sri Lanka, and how is it different from the Singapore version?
So again, this is one of my favorite questions, because this is the reason Ministry of Crab exists. It was sad that all the best crabs of Sri Lanka went to Singapore, and they were claiming it as their own. In a country that does not have black pepper growing there, chilies growing there, or even crabs to be caught. So there's a poster inside Ministry of Crab saying, Singapore is a country that has no chili, no pepper, no crab. Welcome to the home of pepper crab and chili crab, Sri Lanka, right? But chili crab and pepper crab originated in Singapore, and they were the ones who made our crabs famous in the world. And they originated from a long time ago when crabs were caught there, obviously. There were no migrant workers who were getting crab from off a flight. It doesn't make any sense. And we just wanted to re-own the crab for Sri Lanka, and that's what we did. In terms of dishes, I think chili crab and pepper crab are very, very Singaporean in terms of which cultures influenced it. But at Ministry of Crab, I did not want to just copy them, because we cannot. As much as they cannot do what we do, because we have crabs that are served to you within 24 hours of being caught, and they can only do it maybe 72 hours. And the textural experience is absolutely different. So we were inspired by them, and we took it and made something different so that we are not a copy of theirs. But thank you, Singapore, for making our crabs famous in the world, and that's how we are.
Great. That's a great question. Thanks, Nelson. So we were talking about your restaurants. We're talking about all the recipes that are really selling well in your restaurants. But what do you make when you're at home? I'm sure you're not home very often except for this pandemic, but what do you make at home? What's your go-to dish?
So pandemic made me get stuck at home and required me to cook. When you own restaurants and when you're flying to your restaurants that are outside your country so often that there's nothing in your house to cook. I haven't been in Sri Lanka for more than 6 days, I think, in the last 2 years. And trying to be healthy, you don't eat dinner. You don't try to eat breakfast, intermittent fasting, etc. So when we were forced into lockdown, I had nothing in the house. No vegetables, no eggs, no proteins, nothing. But I was able to get some stuff, started making, Natasha, your favorite, chicken curry.
My favorite!
Was making, Mika was talking about my sabakang curry, which is like out of a mackerel tin, to burgers, to meatloaves, to roast chickens, etc. But
meatloaf? You have to tell us a little bit more about that meatloaf.
But it's so difficult to do stuff when you don't have access to ingredients. And there were no markets open. There were no poultry companies that was producing. So it was a bit hard. But I think I rediscovered what I used to do as a college student and made it adaptable to the current situation. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we were saying that we're going to go find that chicken curry recipe. You said it was on your Instagram account?
It's there somewhere.
I did stop it yesterday.
Maybe we'll find.
Yeah, it's definitely there and is on the list of things to try to make.
Maybe if anybody's interested, we'll just post it on here as well. It's pretty good. I just remember being in school and Dharshan being like, "Hey, so you guys gonna come over?" You guys, my roommate, and then we'd be like, "Oh, I don't know, so busy, so much classwork, so much homework," and then Dharshan would be like, "I made chicken curry," and we'd be like, "Right there, we'll be right there." So it's really good. It's delicious. So what was the most rewarding experience? What's the most rewarding experience about being in the restaurant business?
Meeting people, being able to hear, so you make something and then you hear like, okay, this is wow. And that can have so many levels, right? So, sorry about that. Of recent, it's been my steak restaurant in the Maldives. Something universal, something so simple, but I invented an oven that goes up 750 degrees Celsius. And we had guests from Europe, from the United States saying that they've never eaten a steak like this. And yeah, I think rewarding experience like customer comments. And you get to understand what is absolutely fake to what is genuine, right? So then those genuine comments are the ones that get your hair standing, melt you, and I think they know it too.
Yeah. I haven't tried your steak at your steak restaurant because that's not in Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
Where's that one again?
In the Maldives. It's
Yeah.
called Carne Diem.
Carne Diem?
Yeah. It's
I don't think you listed that as one of them.
Carpe Diem, but Carne Diem.
Got it.
Dan, if you're listening, you know where that comes from.
It's like, I know where that comes from. So is there any advice for anybody who might be interested in getting into the restaurant business? Like any advice that you might have for them before they get into the restaurant business that they should be prepared for?
Don't follow people. Don't follow recipes. Invent things, invent equipment, and invent methods. Otherwise, you will not stand out there. And it's hard to do that, but that's what's going to make a difference. So,
Great.
Yeah, try to find something that's absolutely crazy new.
I'm sure a little bit of passion is going to help too.
No, you can't do that without passion, dedication, 24/7 working at it. Yeah, that's given.
Yeah, you say that's a given, but I don't know that everybody like necessarily knows that all the time.
It's a given that whatever you do in life, I think passion is the most underwriting relevant strength that you could have. Anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter cooking.
True.
So keep it there.
For sure.
And keep on expanding that passion by learning stuff.
For sure. Do we have any questions from the audience, Crystal? Or does anybody from the audience have any other questions?
We do not at the moment, but I did throw in Dharshan's Instagram handle if people are interested in finding that chicken curry recipe, which is now part of his stories on there. So feel free to start following and reach out.
Great.
I just made Dan allowed to talk. He has to say something.
Oh, geez. Dharshan just like going out.
Come on, Dan.
Little did Dan know he was going to be popping on, having conversation with us.
So Dan did throw a question in. Oh, go ahead, Dan. All you.
Hey, great to see you. Thanks for doing this, Dharshan. It's amazing, and Natasha and team for coordinating. Yeah, would love to hear what your latest plans are, Darshan, in terms of expanding into the U.S. When can we expect Ministry of Crab, let's say Fairfax, Virginia, perhaps, to be opening?
Well, like I answered the previous question, the crab species dictates the taste. So it's tough to send the crabs out of here. But we are looking at one more crab out of the Atlantic, and if that works, yeah, we'll be there. Maybe New York first, but Fairfax, Virginia second then.
Okay, all right, I'll hold you to that.
He's not going to let you go West Coast if you go East Coast and then don't go to Fairfax, apparently.
We do have one more question that just came in from Sam. Darshan, Sam is asking what type of wine you're drinking.
Is it the Dharshan wine? Is that a Barolo?
Yeah.
A 2014?
Yeah.
Which vineyard?
My contacts are not working.
We're going to have to take a picture and like send it on. Yeah, I was like sitting there, I was like, Darshan, it's like 9:30 there for you. He's just like, yeah, it's going to be close to my bedtime. Not really. He doesn't go to bed until like midnight or past midnight. You're a night owl.
Yeah, it's crazy that we get home this early because I never did.
Yeah.
So, yeah, restaurants were busy. We were doing 400 people a night. Sri Lanka was a country that had 2 million tourists a year. Ministry of Crab had 100,000 guests. That's 5% of the guests arriving in Sri Lanka. So yeah, it's been 7 days have been absolutely busy. And for the first time, I realized what weekends are because there's nothing to do. And I hope the entire world will slowly recover and get back to what we knew as normal soon.
And have kind of a new normal. So, yeah. If there aren't any other questions, I didn't have any more from me. Was there anything else that you wanted to share, Darshan?
Well, again, the only way you're going to support our industry, the airline industry, hotel industry is by visiting. So just make sure that you are comfortable in traveling, and I think Sri Lanka has provided a solution for that. August onwards, come by and I'll be more than happy to have a glass of wine with you.
That sounds good.
That's perfect.
Thank you so
guys
much,
so
Darshan.
much. Yes, Darshan, this was
Thank you,
great.
Crystal.
We were really happy to finally have the chance to chat with you. You know, one good thing to come out of the pandemic, I would say, is this opportunity to engage with people like you that are usually so far away from us. So we really, truly appreciate you taking the time tonight to do so. And I hope this was a good way to end the night for you. For everyone who joined us, thank you so much for being a part of this. We'll be sharing a copy of the video and also some video links if you wanted to look at any of those other things that we shared with you during the talk. Once we wrap up here officially, there will be a quick little follow-up survey that you'll receive as well. So if you would like to share your input and let us know how this was for you and any other topics or ideas that you might want to see from the office, please feel free to let us know through that. And again, thank you both, and I look forward to seeing you again soon and visiting Sri Lanka.
Yeah, for sure. Bye.